Okay, where do I start? Okay, actually, let's start with, my earliest childhood memory. Um, okay. To start off my whole story, um, the very earliest thing that I ever remembered, and something that still sticks with me today as a significant time in my life, is, the death of my, maternal grandmother. And so, on May 17, 2011, almost exactly 14 years from now, um, my Lola passed away at home, and I was actually in the room with her when she passed away. And so she was suffering already from a long time of like lung issues and all that stuff. And so inside of her thyroid, which is around her throat, uh, it runs in the family, and she just she just knew because my mom said that she was doing fine up until that day, but on that day she felt like her time had come. And when that time had come, the only people at the house were me and my Lola Julie, which is my paternal grandmother. And so when I saw that my Lola was struggling and passing away, I didn't really understand it. But I called my Lola Julie to the room, and she called the ambulance. And I remember something about her medicine that would like help relieve her pain. It was coming that day, but she didn't get to use it before she passed. And so I was kind of out of it during this time as a young kid who was around like 3 years old, actually like 2 years, 7 months exactly. And being the only person to actually witness her passing away, it was kind of pretty significant. It was a maturing stage for me at a very early time. And it's also sad because much of the family history on my mother's side um, sadly passed away with my Lola. And so it's always something that I remember. And her dying wish was to actually see me go to the Philippines before I was in the 8th grade, or at least go to the Philippines before 8th grade. But over time we'll see how that goes. And this would actually start off the rest of my youth because my parents were always busy, and so I'd have to go to St. Philomena. Uh, it's gonna be my first preschool, and a bunch of stuff is gonna happen during that time. So my very first year at St. Philomena, uh, didn't really actually remember much. Apparently, Keola was there. I never knew that. Never saw him much, and probably didn't remember much. But yeah. The only major thing at St. Philomena was a near-death experience. And basically, I was in the bathroom, and basically, I didn't know how to read at that time, and now I know like the yellow signs inside the bathroom. You shouldn't run, and I'll always remember that because I ran, and so I tripped, slipped, and fell onto the toilet seat, and this caused me to bleed out for around a couple of hours, probably like 2 or 3. And as soon as somebody found me, I was rushed to the hospital while fading in and out of consciousness. And I remember 2 times when I woke up. I remember waking up after being found, um, basically I was lying down and the teacher was helping me and like trying to call my dad, and then I remember waking up in my dad's car and he was rushing me to the hospital. But other than that, I basically recovered. And um as we saw with my grandmother's death, I have no memories of my grandma's funeral. This was actually the first time I'd go to the Philippines. And so I do remember being on the plane and being an illiterate child. I remember like reading the expiration date of a milk carton and complaining and like whining about how it was already expired. It wasn't not. But that's not the major point because, like I said, this is the first time that I was in the Philippines, and so it was sort of my grandma's wish fulfilled, but not in the way that I feel like she wanted. And also, I ate Jollibee a lot, and this goes sort of into my identity. I mean, I didn't really like Filipino food as a child, and still I actually don't really like it, but I love Jollibee. So those were my childhood memories. My parents raised me up in a small, quiet neighborhood in the suburbs of Salt Lake or Moanalua area, and it was a pretty insignificant place. Nothing really happened much other than it being calm, and it was the perfect place to focus and sleep well, and I got relaxed inside this neighborhood, and still am. And I actually knew majority of the people around me because my mom would like always talk and be friendly. But they didn't really have much, and feel like that's why I focus more and made majority of my memories outside of my house. I was raised in a Filipino household inside that house, and I was taught the Filipino Catholic values and, of course, Filipino heritage. Uh, my parents are Tagalog. My dad is from Manila area, and my mom is in an island nearest to Manila called Lubang in Occidental Mindoro. And so both my parents tried to teach me the Catholic and the Filipino values that they learned inside their households. And so that was my life, really. And early on, my family has always been there since my birth. I feel like because they had me late and because I was an only child, that my parents would always spoil and pamper me, and I feel like that was a sort of a privileged lifestyle because, I mean, having no siblings, my parents had quite a lot of time to focus on me. And I was also the only male on my grandma's family, my paternal grandmother's family, and so I was the only one who inherited the family name of Perez. And so I feel like that's why my grandma always worried about me and like always tried to make me remember my Filipino heritage. And so this gave me time to bond with all my relatives because whenever my parents would be with other cousins, aunties, um, I'd basically always be with my ate Heli, and I found myself kind of following her inside of life because of how my parents were pretty close with her parents, which were my tita, and so I sort of just saw her as a major guiding figure, both as a relative and also as a life model. So because I would sort of follow my ate Heli, my parents enrolled me in Saint Teresa, and that was an interesting time. My dad tricked me into thinking that I was still going to Saint Philomena and that I would be seeing my old friends, And so when I actually went inside of my kindergarten classroom, I actually cried as the first thing. And that reminds me of like Taylor, because her first impressions of me was that I was an idiot because I wasn't really that great, because I was still childish and I was still dumb. And I got to know some of the people, because even though we were children and all of that first impressions that people saw in me, I actually got close with some of my friends who I'm still pretty close with. Keely and Xavier, they were definitely one of my close friends inside of elementary school and in kindergarten up until 8th grade at least. And we were like that one group, that one whole entire squad that just like stayed together. And that's how we were always. But then there's some other people, and there's too many to really say, but I feel like Sophia is definitely one of my friends who I'm still really close with, even after 8th grade graduation. We kind of had the crackhead, fucking vibes that just really went together, and I feel like that's why we're still really close. And sort of just inside of St. Teresa, um, I was just that energetic kid. I mean, I went to a bunch of people, I was pretty social, and actually, I'd say that I didn't really care about my grades too much, and my whole entire personality was completely different than what it is today. And I mean, my dad would call me a rascal sometimes, and he'd like pinch my ears and all that. And so my parents tried to fix that. They tried to bring me to Kumon so that I would actually learn, and that didn't really work out too much. I didn't become smarter. Um, I was actually still average student, and I was a slow reader. And I feel like during that whole entire time, despite everything, I just fell onto my friends. And at St. Teresa, there was this priest named Father Greg, and he was a chill and guiding figure. And when I was lapsing with my faith and I was feeling agnostic, Father Greg made me feel welcomed, and I sort of just continued that whole entire process. And when I was entering into middle school and in between elementary, I remembered always playing Minecraft, and it still sticks with me today. It's a classic game that I feel like everybody inside my generation has played at least once, because it sort of grew up with us. I mean, I remember the times before the cave updates or the ore updates where there was only diamonds, and that was sort of the best thing. And I remember, like, I made a Costco once. I built random things. I blew up things, and I mean, Minecraft was just like a major thing inside my life. And as a kid growing up, and during times when like I couldn't be with my friends for whatever reason, I mean, it sort of just was a way for me to escape and to just find something to do with my time. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I actually use it for the weekly wasp book, because it just shows how my love of Minecraft actually still continues beyond the time when I was playing Minecraft as like a middle schooler and pretty young, childish elementary kid. Um, there's this sort of like responsibility and aging maturity year, and sort of like the responsibilities that were expected and put on us, and specifically me, as like when I was a sixth grader, I definitely procrastinated a lot, and it was sort of a hard time for me because I never really expected and didn't really want to grow up. I mean, as a young kid, I had to go through a lot of things, and sixth grade was one hell of a blur because all I could remember was playing Crunker IO inside of the computer tech lab. And I feel like that sort of emphasizes why COVID was such a major thing. I mean, it happened during seventh grade, and of course, like before, my mother was a nurse, and so she was mostly away during this time. And whenever I was going to school, I I just had a bunch of time, and I didn't really know how to fill it. I mean, Minecraft, it was one thing, but it sort of just got really boring. And in eighth grade, we actually had to do distance learning where we'd actually stay at home. And to have eighth grade, this was already bad enough. I mean, like as young kids in like 2021, 2020 to 2021, I mean, I was happy to cruise through with life, but I feel like it sort of just made me depressed. Um, and that's a whole nother story that I'm not gonna cover. But basically, during that whole entire time when I just couldn't feel like handling it anymore, I just remembered like crying, and I felt like I was still a kid, but I mean, I was aging. I mean, I had to deal with life. I had to prepare for what high school I wanted to go to. I felt like I was being constrained and controlled because I wasn't able to escape my room. And I mean, I always tried to find the time to be with my friends, at least physically, or be there to call them or whatever way I could because it felt liberating. And I feel like that's why, I mean, in eighth grade, I was still close with Alan, Riley, definitely still Sophia and Keely and Xavier, and it went by really fast. I mean, during my whole entire eighth grade, the last couple of days was kind of the last memories that I remember making. I was with my friends, but we were gonna graduate. We were gonna be separated. I wouldn't really see all of them because some of my friends, like Keely, he'd go to Punahou, or Riley, he'd go McKinley. And so just going to graduate and get into the next part of life, it felt so melancholy. I mean, when I was at church, going inside and graduating, I thought it was over. My youth was basically gone, and I wouldn't be able to spend time with the friends that I once had. The very last time that I had with my friends, like Alan, it's at middle school. I remember, like, it was the day after middle school graduation, and just went with my friend Alan, and we randomly bought Nerf guns, and we got a bow and pack of root beer, and I was with one of my friends, Jonathan, uh, that I didn't really mention earlier because wasn't too close with him, but he's still he's still there, and so that final time just felt sad because that was one of the very last times that I'd be with them, and having that one moment to be with them as we were about to graduate, as we graduated and became high schoolers, it's definitely something that made me go through the process a little bit more easier because I felt like whoever I'd see inside of high school, I definitely at least like make it and have some fun times with them. Over summer break, I basically uh, went back to what I really could. I mean, played a bunch of Minecraft, and I actually started playing horror games because it was kind of fun. Um, Played Five Nights at Freddy's. Uh, Still a little wuss, and it's kind of interesting to just see the whole entire franchise and Five Nights at Freddy's like branch out. But it was sort of like from movies to the different games. I mean, horror games, it was always pretty fun. I mean, it was regretful, but it was like kind of a guilty pleasure that even though I was scared of it, I mean, without like Five Nights at Freddy's, I probably wouldn't have seen Faith, the Unholy Trinity, maybe Bendy and the Ink Machine, or maybe Five Nights at Freddy's books. And it's kind of important that I actually got into horror. I remember after like playing Five Nights at Freddy's or any horror game that I got onto, I really got into the old nostalgic zombie games that I once played. And I mean, as a kid, I didn't really remember them all. I mean, I remember like Zombie Tsunami, Plants vs Zombies, maybe like Call of Mini, all those games that I didn't really appreciate as a kid. I kind of did over summer break after grad. I mean, after all that time, like I said with FNAF, I kind of just spent time to play, and I mean, it's hella cringy now, but I used to record YouTube videos and still hate them, but they're definitely funny. And I mean, it was just a way for me to record my whole entire history, and it's kind of nice to look back on as a little kid thinking that he'd make it on YouTube. And I feel like even though it's embarrassing, it's always nice to look at what I thought I'd be and imagine and enjoy who I actually was. After summer break and going through the whole entire time of worrying about which high school I was going to go to, like with St. Teresa, I just followed my cousin. I followed Adehele to Damien, and basically it was sort of relieving that I got over with. But I knew that my friends like Taylor, Xavier, Manaya, John Boy, Joseph, and Aiden, I mean, even though they were classmates, I didn't really think that I'd be close with them. I mean, when I looked back and I saw myself, I changed. I wasn't the sort of like social kid anymore. I was quiet, ambiverted, and I wasn't really that open. And so that's why during freshman orientation, when I met Kian and Macy, I felt happy to be sort of like brought into their friend group from St. Joseph. Because of them, I was able to meet my friends. I mean, I met Jonah and Victoria through this whole entire time, and so it's pretty important. And even though I, even though I felt self-conscious of the person that I was, I kind of felt sort of like I changed, and like I turned into a whole new person who was more matured in a sense. And so during this whole entire time, I met like Cyril inside of Mr. G's class, which is one hell of a thing that I feel like both of us remember. And yeah, that was like a whole entire freshman year. And by sophomore year, I sort of developed who I was more, and it's kind of like a repeat of freshman year. And it was actually some of the times that I enjoy. I mean, I was 1 year into my relationship with Victoria because we got into dating in freshman year, and so it was sort of enjoyable to just stay with her and have fun. And not only that, inside my relationship with her, I mean, looking at my friends that I got even more closer with in freshman year, like Javen Babo, Alan Lee, and I've met Gabby and Jaden Bekele. Uh, they were all like pretty chill, and I vibe with them just like I vibed with Sophia, who I was still talking to at the time. But of course, we both went our separate ways in high school. And in sophomore year, I got into running because I needed my PE credit somehow, and accidentally signed up for cross country. And I just got into running as a sophomore, joined cross country and track and field, and I got my PE credit. And when I was a junior, Murakami asked me to rejoin cross country and track, and of course, I felt like I'd have an amazing year because I actually really enjoyed cross country. I liked exploring, I liked being with the friends that I made, like Cyril, Ha. It was all fun, and it was kind of overshadowed. I mean, in the middle of my junior year, after cross country season was over and it was now winter season, I had to sort of think, and I needed to get good grades, of course. I needed to finish my year strong. It was my junior year after all, and college was right ahead, and I had to choose whether or not I want to stay on island or go to Hawaii. And I just wanted to get through everything. I mean, I would just want to focus and enjoy my time. I got into yerba mate. I wanted to go to prom. I wanted to go to winter ball too, but uh, yeah, no, that's a lot of money. Um, and I decided that I was gonna become an electrical engineer, and that was real hard because I discovered I was like 1 year behind on math, and even though I could graduate Algebra 2 in my senior year, and if I planned to do that, it would be fine, I felt kind of crushed. I mean, it's kind of sad just to find out that I wasn't doing the best inside of my classes, and that my college future was going to be impacted because of my math level. So I sort of just stressed out all over junior year. It leaked into my life where I wasn't doing the best, but in the end, prom and yerba mate and running my first half marathon was liberating. It made me feel like I was achieving something, and I just planned to make it through my junior year because I wasn't gonna let anything push me down. And so afterwards, over the summer, I just continued, and I enjoyed caffeine culture during this time. I had to wake up early, and I had to get ready for Miss Bishop's English class, and reading Frankenstein, reading Macbeth, it was definitely hard. And so I was happy. I mean, yerba mate helped me out, and so I continued drinking it, and that would kind of be important in my senior year. Because of yerba mate, I was able to meet Malasada-san, or Riley Malasig, and we both like drank yerba mate. We didn't know it, but it was interesting because he was sitting down near Mr. Moyers, and I was walking by, and I saw he had his mate in hand, and he was drinking out of his mumbia, and I said, "Hey Riley, you drink yerba mate?" And he was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And so it was just fun to find out that I had things in common with Riley. We were both materos, and I mean, we were just really energy filled friends, and it was great. And looking more out, because it was my final year at Damien, in cross country, I made new friends. I saw Ali, Jordan the Trinis, CL, and Jalen for cross country, and it was fun to be with them, learn more, and get close. And during our senior night, it was one emotion-filled time, and I remember CL was crying, and because of her, I was like a little teared up too. And inside of your class, Miss Q, um, I met Jacob Nishimura, and we were actually pretty chill with each other. We bonded close just before college is about to come, and it was all just fun to have the final moments, to make more friends, and just as college was coming, I mean, if you really looked at it, I decided I was gonna go Manoa and study electrical engineering, and I used a Japanese method called Ikigai, and to basically sum it up, it was sort of a way to figure out what was calling me. I looked on at Ikigai and uh, like there are four motivations that push me towards electrical engineering. I felt like one, it was the right thing in the world. Two, it was something that I enjoyed. Three, it was something that I could be paid for. And four, it was something that I can do to serve the world. And so, because of electrical engineering, and because I had all my college stuff set, my goals were, I mean, pretty tough. I had to get scholarships, and I actually wrote a bunch of scholarship essays because I was gonna need to do a lot of that. And so my whole entire senior year was filled with just preparing for college, and that was my main focus. And after focusing on college and being productive and looking towards my future life after Damien and getting it done a little bit early, I mean, I just had more time to really enjoy my senior year. I I celebrated my birthday with Victoria. We're actually birthday twins, kind of, by like one day. Um, did senior night with cross country, like I said. Um, went to like my very last winter ball and went to go McDonald Mondays with Jonah after cross country practices because he's amazing, and we did a lot together inside his car, and I completed a full marathon within a 5 hour time frame, which really killed me. I had to walk a lot. But after the marathon, I got an email saying that like I got accepted to UH Manoa. And then like during the final talent show, I saw like our final time. Uh, Aiden Tyler's singing made me pretty emotional because he reminded me about my grandma. Um, and of course the juniors went hella hard on the music and singing, and it was great. And I got into track and field after winter time, and of course we had another senior night, and I did the Great Aloha Run in February. I walked in the Jack in the Box drive-through inside of one of our track meets because their whole entire inside was broken, and that was hella interesting. Uh, we went on retreat, and that was fun. I got to be closer with old friends, new friends, and got closer to God. I I fasted from meat for my last Lent as a high schooler. Um, I learned new dishes and how to improvise or work with what I have, especially just like inside the kitchen. I went to Lucky Strike for the first time with my lunch squad, Jonah, Victoria, and Gabby. I went on multiple pancake runs with the running squad for social ministry at my house. I went to my very first UH volleyball game. I met up with Keely on his volleyball senior night. I went on the aquaponics field trip. And with Jonah, when the Minecraft movie released, we got the Minecraft meal and Happy Meal. And we watched the Minecraft movie together. I did my final Hapalua half marathon with the cross country track and field team. I had Sai actually carry the Damien flag to rep, but it was hella heavy. But it was still so fun. I went to judo senior night to celebrate not only old friends like Joseph, Aiden, or Taylor, but I also went to see new friends like Amber or Daniel. And I did the ice bucket challenge inside of like April time with Alan. We both did it together, and we did it 2 times because on our first time the water splashed everywhere and it like turned off the recording, and that sucked, but honestly it was just fun to do it together. um, and there's just a lot of things that happened on senior year that I can just keep on talking about, but all those things were really beautiful. So that was my whole entire senior year. It kind of feels short now that I'm looking at it, but I know that I just like cut it short and summarized a lot. But now let's kind of just look at the things that I want to do. My bucket list, I kind of want to visit a bunch of places. And I think in middle school, around 7th grade, no, in 6th grade, I visited Japan, and I want to revisit again. I'm actually going to do it this coming summer break, so it's going to be really fun. But I also want to visit a lot more places because, just like with cross country, I love exploring. I want to go to Korea. I want to fulfill my grandma's wish and actually go to the Philippines, visit her grave on Lubang Island, and just have a fun time. I want to revisit Australia, and went Sydney already, so I'll probably go Melbourne. But Australia is so nice, and I know it's going to be an amazing time because it's the same reason why I want to go New Zealand, because it's kind of upside down. The seasons are flipped, and it's just one hell of a time. And I want to visit Singapore because it looks futuristic as hell. And I want to visit all 50 states because the United States is basically just a giant continent if you really think about it, with 50 different places. And I have some goals actually. I want to reach a sub 2 hour half marathon, and last year, inside my junior year, I had a Hapalua time, a half marathon time of 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I want to finish that up. And oh wait, I got the times for a marathon. What do you call it? I want to do a sub 6 hour marathon. I ran my marathon in 6 hours and 37 minutes, not 5 hours. And I also want to become at least like a 1 year cross country coach at Damien because I've had such an amazing time and I just want to continue all that. And looking at it, I want to meet like somebody important, maybe like a celebrity, maybe just the president. That would be cool. And yeah, let me read something that my parents wrote me, and This is actually what they also wrote for me on retreat. Um, My dearest son, Anthony Perez, time is so fast. This year, you are graduating from high school. We like you to know that we are very proud of you, and we always pray that you stay humble always and forever be a very good son. We love you and we will support you 100% as long as we live. We know that you are a very good student and you always think of others and fellow students. Just stay the same and always have faith and love for God, and always remember that your success is our success too. We love you always and forever. Mom and Dad. I love you, Mom. Love you, Dad. And I want to release kind of like what my whole entire senior year was, because in the 8th grade, I received a bunch of graduation letters. It was an activity inside of 8th grade where we wrote letters to our friends, people that we care for, and all sorts of things. And I want to write one again, even outside of just a school activity. And I want to make one of mine public because I don't think I could have done it without you. And that's to Jonah. You brought me out to who I am today. You made me feel like a cared for and great friend. And you were there throughout my high school life. I met you in freshman year, but you made the most amount of impact as the best man that has always been there to hold me up and support me. When I first met you in band classes with Mr. Santa Cruz, I felt alone in the process of trying to adjust to my new high school life. My old STS classmates were doing better than I was. You brought me into your St. Joseph friend group, along with Kian. The interesting and comedic personality that you have brought me to become a brother with you, and every single moment with you was amazing. And I feel comfortable with you at every moment that we were doing random stuff together. From class and lunchtime to the car rides eating McDonald's. We've learned things about each other, and I know that behind everything, you've gone through life, developed, and stayed with me too. You're amazing, Jonah. From your brother in Christ, Anthony Perez. And I guess the last thing to really do is to say the final letter to myself. So, a letter to my 21-year-old self. You know, it's me, one and only, Tony the Turtle. Tony, AJ, Antonio, Anthony Perez, Anthony James Tanji, the name keeps going, Perez. And right now, year old, still 17. And I'm riding in the middle of the night with a passion of caffeine for the power of coffee and yerba mate and can get out of the bed a bit later. You started as an agnostic Catholic and stayed as an agnostic Catholic, up to now still. But the teachings and lessons of Christ has grown to call you to do a little more. Just as we've seen, Saint Teresa of Lisieux always said, the little things with passion, do that. From helping friends, I hope you can continue to help others even more. Organize it all and bring others to do good acts, as well as to become the first ripple. Remember that the love that others give, you should reflect and shine onto others as well. Christ is in all, and he will show through extraordinary and average things at the same time. Remember that. He still loves us in every moment of suffering, torment, and fatigue. Don't let the raging passion burn out, irregardless of faith. Yours truly, Anthony. Thank you for watching my U project. It was one interesting video, but I hope that throughout everything, it was all just a nice time, and that with everything, you learned something more about me. Thank you.